Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and as I was searching through some of the Senate documents in the different committees, I came across this letter that went out on December 6th, and I wanted to point this out to you. The title of this: Senators Seek Interviews on Reported Coordination Between Ukrainian Officials, DNC Consultant to Aid Clinton in 2016 Elections. So the Senate has not been sitting idle while all of the rigmarole has been going on in the House. In fact, they've been doing a lot of things that I think, the House has taken all the pressure off of them because nobody's paying attention to what they're doing. Well, they're doing lots of stuff. So I wanted to point this out to you. This is Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Chairman Ron Johnson, who we've talked about before, Senate Finance Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, and Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham are seeking records from and transcribed staff interviews with two individuals reportedly involved in an effort by Ukrainian embassy officials to undermine the Trump campaign in the 2016 election. The interview and records requests are a continuation of an inquiry that Grassley launched in 2017 following news reports that a Democratic National Committee consultant solicited derogatory information on the Trump campaign from Ukrainian embassy officials prior to the 2016 election. According to those reports, elements of the Ukrainian government were actively working to undermine candidate Trump's electoral prospects in favor of Hillary Clinton. By the way, there are links in this, like this is the news report that they talk about. So always nice when you can go to the original sources that they mention. And the Republicans are usually very good at doing that, especially like in the Senate with Grassley. He's really meticulous on that. He likes everything to be documented. Anyway, this is what Johnson has to say. Contrary to the popular narrative in the mainstream media that Ukrainian involvement in the 2016 election has been debunked or no evidence exists, there are many unanswered questions that have festered for years. One of the reasons our nation remains so divided is the disconnect between those who are curious about any and all possible foreign interference and those who are not. Those who are curious have a legitimate and understandable desire to know if wrongdoing occurred. The American public also has a right to know if no wrongdoing occurred. The sooner we get answers to the many unanswered questions, the sooner we can turn our attention to the many challenges our nation faces. And then Grassley weighed in and said, election interference by any foreign entity is a serious matter. Since the last presidential election, our nation rightly expended significant resources to examine allegations of collusion and foreign interference by Russia to influence the outcome. While there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, we know that Russia meddled in our democratic processes. However, certain reports of collusion and interference involving Ukrainian officials have not been sufficiently examined, and the few answers that have been given are inadequate. With another election right around the corner, choosing to ignore these matters or conflating them with separate, uncorroborated allegations is no way to adequately safeguard the sanctity of our elections. And then Lindsey Graham said, to believe that the mainstream media will investigate all things Russia or Ukraine is to hope against hope. The hacking of the DNC emails was done by the Russians and no one else. Well, we're going to find out different on that, but that's okay. Whether there's a connection between Democratic operatives and Ukrainian officials during the 2016 election has yet to be determined. It will only be found by looking. We intend to look. So, in addition to the production of relevant records, Johnson, Grassley, and Graham are requesting staff-led transcribed interviews with then DNC consultant Alexandra Chalupa, who reportedly solicited damaging information on Trump campaign associates and lobbied Congress to launch a congressional investigation months before the election. They are also seeking a similar interview with Andriy Teleshenko, a political officer within the Ukrainian embassy at the time. According to records, Teleshenko was ordered to assist in an off-the-books investigation into ties between the Trump campaign and Russia. He said was being coordinated between Ukrainian officials and the Hillary team. That investigation included then Trump campaign advisor Paul Manafort's prior business dealings in the region. a CBS News analysis, and that one is a link too, of the reported arrangement, noted that it's deeply unusual for an American campaign to be working with foreign assets like this, regardless of whether it's Ukraine or Russia. Grassley and Johnson recently requested information from the National Archives and Records Administration regarding White House meetings in 2016 that included representatives from the Obama administration, Ukrainian government, and the DNC, and there's a link there. They also requested Justice Department records relating to the FBI's interactions with Chalupa, and that's a link as well. The senators' inquiries are unrelated to an uncorroborated theory that Ukraine was also behind the hack of the DNC servers. U.S. intelligence officials and special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation found that Russia was responsible for the DNC hack. Okay, I'm still skeptical on that because I know the truth. So, yeah. But that's the official story that's out there for now. I assume that's going to be corrected somewhere along the line in the next several months. Grassley, Johnson, and Graham also have outstanding requests, and then they link to them. See here, 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 and here. So there are 4 different ones you can look at related to potential conflicts of interest and political influence by Ukrainian elements, including the natural gas firm Burisma, which employed as a board member Hunter Biden while his father was the U.S. vice president and public face of the Obama administration's handling of Ukraine. Additional records and interviews related to these matters may also be necessary. So this shows that, yep, they're getting very serious about it. Now, I wanted to show you the minority side of it because this is what they do. It's been debunked. Well, how has it been debunked? Well, it just has been debunked. Take our word for it. That's essentially what he says. Anyway, Gary Peters is the ranking member of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, released the following statement. So, our intelligence community, national security officials, and a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee report have all confirmed that it was the Russian government and not Ukraine that interfered in our 2016 election. That's not true. We know that. Okay, what they did was they never ruled out Ukraine. They just said Russia interfered. I don't understand this thing where, they think it has to be one or the other. It can't be both. How is that? Anyway, but it's all predicated on the lie that the DNC was hacked. Okay, so that's really where it all comes from. And once that lie has been debunked, which it will be, because it really is going to be debunked. Once that happens, and that's exposed what the truth was and that there was no hacking, that's when things will really start to heat up. So I'm looking forward to that one. This isn't about rehashing the 2016 election or partisan politics. It is a matter of national security. Russia, a foreign adversary, struck at the very heart of our democracy, and we know they are already trying to interfere in the 2020 election. Obscuring this key fact only further enables Russian efforts and undermines our ability to safeguard our democracy. Members of both parties must come together to pass legislation strengthening election security and ensure no foreign adversary can meddle in our elections again. Honestly, I'm more worried about the domestic meddling. Really. Anyway, so yeah, it sounds like the, Democrat talking points there. But anyway, and here's just a reminder of this one that came out on December 4th. And this is kind of one that we're going to be focusing on because Johnson Grassley seek information regarding Blue Star Strategies work for Burisma Holdings. Now, when I saw that, I thought, well, I've never heard of Blue Star, so let's find out more about it. But anyway, this is the situation. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee and the Committee on Finance, which Grassley's in charge of, are investigating whether certain officials within the Obama administration had actual or apparent conflicts of interest because of Hunter Biden's role in Rosemont Seneca and related entities, or as a board member of Burisma Holdings. In addition, the committees are reviewing whether Hunter Biden or his associates had any role in the formulation of the Obama administration's policies with respect to Ukraine. Okay, so Blue Star is a lobbying firm, all right? And the person who is involved in that, we're going to talk about in just a minute. Her name is Karen Tramontano. So Grassley and Johnson are asking for correspondence with her, and they actually sent her a letter on December 3rd. So here is the letter. She's the CEO of Blue Star Strategies. And here's what they had to say. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee and the Committee on Finance are investigating whether certain officials within the Obama administration had actual or apparent conflicts of interest because of Hunter Biden's role in Rosemont Seneca and related entities, or as a board member of Burisma Holdings. In addition, the committees are reviewing whether Hunter Biden or his associates had any role in the formulation of the Obama administration's policies with respect to Ukraine. Recent reports indicate that Blue Star Strategies sought to leverage Hunter Biden's membership on the board of directors for Burisma in communications and meetings with various U.S. government officials at the same time his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, served as the public face of the administration's handling of Ukraine. Accordingly, as part of the committee's inquiry, we write to request information with regard to Blue Star's work for Burisma. A recent report indicates that in November or December 2015, Blue Star officials met with Amos Hochstein, then senior advisor to Vice President Biden, on international energy affairs and invoked Hunter Biden during a discussion of Burisma. The report describes Mr. Hochstein as, quote, a vocal proponent of Ukraine cracking down on Burisma, unquote, and explained that the purpose of the meeting was for, quote, Blue Star Strategies to convince Hochstein, but it did not, that Burisma was on the level and did not warrant further investigation. Additional documents demonstrate how Blue Star used Hunter Biden's board membership to gain access and potentially influence matters at the State Department. In a February 24, 2016 email with the subject line Burisma, a State Department official wrote, per our conversation, Karen Tramontano of Blue Star Strategies requested a meeting to discuss with Undersecretary Novelli from the U.S. government remarks alleging Burisma, which is a Ukrainian energy company, of corruption. She noted that 2 high-profile U.S. citizens are affiliated with the company, including Hunter Biden as a board member. Tramontano would like to talk with Undersecretary Novelli about getting a better understanding of how the U.S. came to the determination that the company is corrupt. According to Tramontano, there is no evidence of corruption, has been no hearing or process, and evidence to the contrary has not been considered. Would appreciate any background you may be able to provide on this issue and suggested TPs for Undersecretary Novelli's meeting. So, on March 1st, 2016, Blue Star reportedly met with Undersecretary Novelli, and in April 2016, Blue Star reportedly met with Ukrainian prosecutors. According to what appears to be contemporaneous notes by one of those Ukrainian prosecutors, during the April 2016 meeting, Blue Star apologized about allegedly false information promoted by the U.S. government about the prosecutor's handling of the investigation of Burisma. To assist the committee's examination of the role that Hunter Biden and individuals within the U.S. government may have played with regard to lobbying for Burisma, we respectfully request the following information. With respect to Blue Star's work for Burisma, please provide A description of how and through whom Blue Star first became aware of Burisma, B, Blue Star's contract with and all other documents describing its relationship with Burisma, C, the date Blue Star began work for Burisma, D, the date for when Blue Star ended work for Burisma, if applicable, E, a description of the services Blue Star provided Burisma, F, the names and titles of all Blue Star employees, including contractors that worked on matters relating to Burisma. And he does mention this John Solomon article. And so, anyway, then he goes on. The names and titles of Burisma employees that worked with Blue Star employees or contractors. H, the dates and descriptions, including a list of attendees of all meetings between Blue Star representatives and Ukrainian officials regarding Burisma. and the dates and descriptions, including a list of attendees of all meetings about or related to Burisma between Blue Star representatives and U.S. officials. This includes, but is not limited to, the State Department, the Office of the Vice President, and the Executive Office of the President. 2. Please provide all records between and among Blue Star and U.S. officials relating to its representation of Burisma. This includes, but is not limited to, the State Department, the Office of the Vice President, and the Executive Office of the President. Now remember, that's all under Obama there. Number 3, please describe Blue Star's document and email retention policies from 2014 to present. Oh, I bet they're going to be destroying a lot of stuff. And then please provide a response no later than December 17th. Again, I don't know if they're going to get the response to this, but that's what they have put out there. And I thought it was kind of interesting. They did not send copies of this to the ranking members of their committees. So that's the letter they sent to her. Well, here's the article that he was mentioning about from John Solomon. And we have Hunter Biden's Ukraine gas firm pressed Obama administration to end corruption allegations, memos show. And so, yeah, there are memos that support that. So, yeah, they wanted to squelch any investigations into corruption having to do with Burisma. And I'll put all these links down below that, like I usually do. They'll be in the description. You may have to click something to make the description open up, but they'll all be down there, okay? And this one is by Solomon as well on the Hill. These once secret memos cast doubt on Joe Biden's Ukraine story. And so that's kind of a second one. This was on his site, and then this one is on the Hill. So there was that. Well, let's talk about Blue Star Strategies a little bit. Who we are. We are an international consultancy firm working to solve political, policy, investment, and resource challenges facing today's global businesses, governments, and organizations. They're a lobbying firm, okay? Plain and simple, they're a lobbying firm. And their CEO is Karen Tramontano. She is the chief executive officer, and there she is. And I want to point out some of her connections because from 1997 to 2001, Ms. Tramontano served in the White House as deputy chief of staff to President William Jefferson Clinton and counselor to Erskine Bowles and John Podesta. Yep, that's who she is. And so she has had her hand in a lot of stuff ever since the Clintons got into power. I mean, she's been right in there with them. And here it talks about she served as chief of staff for President Clinton's transition. And she's the founder and president of Global Fairness Initiative, a nonprofit organization working to promote a more equitable and sustainable approach to globalization. So we know where she stands. Globalization, that's her goal. That's what she promotes. That's what she's pushing for. And she's going to lobby for anything that's going to make that happen. Now, I did a search on her, just a DuckDuckGo search, and there's quite a few things about her. I mean, she obviously is on the Blue Star Strategies site, but she's got a Twitter account. She doesn't use it very much, but she was mentioned in this Women's Media Center article, and her lobbying profile is there on Open Secrets. And so she's connected in with the Clinton Foundation. And, there's a big league politics article, the Federalist article. Let me show you the Federalist article here. Emails reveal Burisma consulting firm leveraged Hunter Biden to get State Department meetings, which again is pretty much what John Solomon was saying in his. Anyway, this is her Twitter feed. She doesn't have much on here. She doesn't post very much. I mean, the last one was like December 5th, and that was just a retweet. So she doesn't spend a lot of time on here. She obviously does support the left-wing type things. And she was mentioning, some of these things that were going on. And she definitely supports them and everything that they're doing. And so, Anyway, here is the Blue Star one, their Twitter feed, but I wanted to show you this particular thing that they quoted. This is an article, it's in French, sorry, but I can give you a gist of it. And it's about Haiti because, and I have not watched this hearing yet. This came out on 12/12, so it hasn't been out long, and I've been watching other hearings. But this guy right here, his name's Daniel P. Erickson, and he testified in front of one of the House committees. I can't remember which one he was going to testify in front of. Does it say here? I don't know. He was testifying in front of one of them, and he wants the United States to pay more attention to Haiti and the problem there. And this guy, he was the former advisor in the Department of State to the White House under President Barack Obama. So, yeah, he testified, it doesn't say. He testified Tuesday and to the American Congress about the crisis in Haiti. And he basically said, we need to do more. We've got to take care of things in Haiti, which I think is a very interesting tie into Haiti, because I think a lot of us know what kinds of things the Clinton Foundation was doing there. But anyway, let's get back to her. Here was that article, the She Source. Yeah. Okay, and this just re-emphasizes that not only did she work with Clinton, but this Global Fairness Initiative, evidently, it says she continues her work with President Clinton through the Global Fairness Initiative, of which she is founder and president. So evidently, it's not a Clinton Foundation organization, I don't think, but evidently Bill Clinton is working with her on this. So, again, kind of shady there. And then I checked out, her lobbying. Well, one of the things that I saw that she was lobbying in 2013, she was lobbying for the Association of Latvian Private Banks. And so I checked out another one. This was in 2009. She earned $110,000, and she was also lobbying for Latvian-American Financial Forum lobbying. That's how much they paid her. And the association, this one in 2013, she only made $60,000 from these Latvian private banks. Okay, now when I started looking at this, I thought, well, why in the world? Obviously, if you go to issues, it says she was lobbying for banking issues. Well, that makes sense because they are the Latvian private banks. I mean, what's Latvia got to do with it, right? So, well, yeah, there's a reason that she was lobbying for Latvia, because Latvia's third largest lender, ABLV, is to be closed down. On February 24th, 2018, the European Central Bank announced that ABLV was failing or likely to fail in accordance with Single Resolution Mechanism regulation. Well, the reason they were is because they had a run on their bank. The bank run was triggered by the U.S. Treasury. On February 13th, 2018, the Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network issued a notice, and here's the link to that, issued a notice accusing ABLV of money laundering. And ABLV was promptly denied U.S. dollar funding. Simultaneously, depositors rushed to remove their money. Less than a week later, to prevent the bank's disorderly collapse, the Latvian regulator and the ECB froze all payments out of ABLV. So, in other words, it's because they were money laundering. So I thought, okay, let's check to see what we got here. Do a DuckDuckGo search on Latvian banks laundering, and you get a whole list of articles. Yeah, a whole big bunch of them. So the Latvian banks were doing some major money laundering, and our government found out about it, and they cracked down and said, well, then you're not going to get any American dollars. You can't use American dollars. You can't trade in American dollars. And essentially it collapsed that particular bank, but I think several of them. So, of course, she was doing some lobbying before all this happened. She was lobbying for these Latvian banks. So she was lobbying for the money launderers. Okay. And now she can't, because they are no longer laundering money. at least not with the US dollars. So, yeah, they got cut off big time. So that's what good old Karen has been lobbying for. Does it surprise you? Nope, doesn't surprise me. And I actually listened to, she spoke at some kind of DNC meeting or whatever. It was when Clinton was being impeached. I mean, it was like at the same time that he was being impeached. And she spoke at that. It was an organizational thing. And she just had such glowing words for Bill Clinton and how wonderful he was and how he was doing such great things for our country. And yeah, that was really hard for me to watch. But she seemed very passionate about supporting Clinton. So yeah, it's not surprising to me. And so all of this, now when you start thinking about it, okay, we've got the Hunter Biden connection. We've got these guys asking for this information, right here. And then they send her this letter and they want to know her connection, this Blue Star connection with Burisma. It all is going to center around money laundering, folks. It really is. And that's what we're going to start finding out, that there was a lot of money laundering going on there. And we know that George Soros is very active in Ukraine. And so, again, surprising that they're involved in money laundering. Not when you find out he's there. Very interesting what's going on. And we have had some major things happening with these different hearings and everything. I would like to see what the guy had to say about Haiti. I'm sure he said it in English, by the way. So no fear on that. But that particular article just happened to be in French. And so that's what I've got for you on this one. I will be very interested to kind of keep an eye on this and see if they dig up anything on Burisma and whatever Blue Star was doing, because I'm sure if this woman was so connected to the Clintons that she definitely has a hand in some things. And this could get really interesting. Wow. So yeah, that's it on Karen Tramontano and Blue Star. Hey, if you still want to get a Christmas card for me, I don't know if there's going to be time, but you can still try, and it may end up after Christmas, but I will try to get them back to you as soon as I can. Send it to Deb at Truthification Chronicles, P.O. Box 103, Plymouth, Indiana, 46563, and I will get you one back, okay? Again, I'm not guaranteeing it'll get there by Christmas, but I'll do my very best. And so I've been getting several, and oh, you guys are such a blessing. I've loved reading your cards, and I've had a lot of fun sending some back to you. Hopefully, if you sent me one, you should be getting one in the mail as soon as I can get them back to you, okay? So, again, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.